My name is Amelia, and I'm 53 years old. Many years ago, I worked as a housekeeper for a wealthy family. Their home was magnificent, filled with beautiful furniture, elegant paintings, and spacious gardens. I cleaned every room, polished the floors, and helped prepare meals. The family consisted of Darren, the father, Elizabeth, the mother, and their young son Roger. I loved my job and felt truly at home there. I imagined working for them for many years to come. Elizabeth owned an impressive collection of jewelry, but she treasured one particular gold watch above all others. She wore it constantly and guarded it carefully. I always noticed how she touched it throughout the day, as if reassuring herself it was still there. Whenever I cleaned her bedroom, I moved around her possessions with extra care, knowing how precious they were to her. One morning, everything fell apart. Elizabeth couldn't find her beloved gold watch. She searched her bedroom frantically, then moved through the kitchen and garden. After asking Darren and Roger without success, she turned to me. When I told her I hadn't seen it, she stared at me with an expression that made my blood run cold. That afternoon, Darren summoned me to the living room. Elizabeth stood beside him while Roger hid nervously behind her skirt. Darren's voice was harsh as he explained they couldn't find the watch. He said they had trusted me completely, but now that trust was shattered. When I tried to defend myself, my voice came out weak and trembling. He ordered me to leave immediately and never return. Elizabeth wouldn't even look at me, and Roger remained silent. With shaking hands, I packed my small bag. I wanted to cry but forced myself to hold back the tears. Walking out of that beautiful house, I sat down on the street corner with nowhere to go. Passers-by ignored me completely as I sat there feeling invisible and utterly alone. I thought about the garden where I had spent peaceful mornings, about Roger's laughter echoing through the hallways, about all the happy moments now lost forever. The question haunted me. Why did they believe I was capable of theft? I had always been honest and hardworking, treating their home as if it were my own. As evening approached, I realized I had no place to sleep. I had no family in the city, and my bag contained only a few clothes and some coins. I found a bench in a nearby park and tried to rest, but sleep wouldn't come. My mind kept replaying the accusation, the cold dismissal, the sight of Roger's frightened face. When morning finally came, my body ached from the hard bench. I bought a piece of bread with my last coins while the cafe worker eyed me with suspicion. I spent the entire day searching for work at the market, asking vendors if they needed help. Most ignored me or sent me away rudely. By evening, exhausted and heartbroken, I returned to the park bench. I wondered if the family missed me at all, or if they had already forgotten about me completely. Then I heard someone calling my name. Looking up, I saw Elizabeth running toward me, her face flushed and her hand clutching something small and shiny. My heart raced as she approached. She held out the gold watch, her eyes filled with tears. They had found it behind a large chair in the living room, discovered only when they moved furniture during a deep cleaning. Elizabeth apologized repeatedly, her voice breaking with genuine remorse. She said they missed me terribly and that Roger cried for me every night. She begged me to return, promising they would never doubt me again. I stared at the watch in her hand, then at her tear-stained face. Relief washed over me, knowing I wasn't a thief, but anger and hurt remained. They had believed the worst of me without hesitation, throwing me out without a second thought. I couldn't find words to respond. Elizabeth waited, but I simply shook my head and walked away, ignoring her desperate calls. I needed a fresh start somewhere people would trust me from the beginning. Passing a small bakery with warm light glowing from its windows, I watched a kind-looking woman arranging bread in baskets. Taking a deep breath, I walked inside and asked if she needed help. The woman, Sophia, studied my tired face and worn clothes before offering me morning cleaning work in exchange for meals and a small room behind the bakery. That tiny room became my sanctuary. It wasn't luxurious, but it was warm and safe. Sophia and Andrew, her husband, treated me with genuine kindness and trust. They never questioned my character or spoke to me harshly. As I worked hard each day, sweeping floors and cleaning windows, I felt my strength returning. But I was no longer lost. One afternoon, while cleaning the bakery window, I spotted Roger and Elizabeth across the street. Our eyes met briefly before they walked away into the crowd. I watched them disappear without calling out, knowing I had changed too much to go back. Weeks later, a letter arrived from Elizabeth. She wrote about Roger missing me, about her deep regret, and asked if I might visit someday. I carried that letter in my pocket for days, thinking about forgiveness and second chances. Finally, I decided to visit, not to return permanently, but to find peace. When I arrived at the grand house and rang the bell, Elizabeth opened the door with tears in her eyes. Roger ran into my arms, hugging me tightly. We sat in the garden drinking tea while Roger showed me his toys and Elizabeth asked about my new life. As the sun began to set, I stood to leave. Elizabeth invited me to stay for dinner, but I declined. My home was at the bakery now, with Sophia and Andrew who had shown me unconditional kindness. I hugged Roger goodbye and shook Elizabeth's hand warmly, feeling no anger, only peace. Walking back through the evening streets toward the bakery, I realized that losing everything had taught me what truly mattered. I had discovered my own strength, found genuine friendship, and learned that sometimes the greatest gift comes from starting over. The lost watch had cost me one home but led me to another, better one, where trust was freely given and my worth was never questioned.